Alrighty, class, we are on tag day 2, and we are going to be covering percents of a number, which would be 7.4D. For those of us interested in looking at our IA2 reflection to see how well we did on percent problems. So we're going to focus on a lesson that deals with percent types of problems, and we're going to look at 2 different strategies that can help us reason out any type of problem dealing with percent. So Sally's math test had 30 questions. She received a score of 80%. How many questions did Sally answer incorrectly? So as far as answer choices go, we always ignore the answer choices at this point, just so we can start our problem solving strategy, and then we'll look back at our answer choices in a bit. And so I know that percent problems, we've been reviewing a lot of solving using proportions, and so that is going to come up in just a bit, but first I want to go through the draw portion of our read, draw, write using our handy dandy tape diagram. And so our tape diagram could be something that we use to represent the percentage, or we could also use something called a double number line, which we have seen before. And I actually like the way it works with percentages a little bit better than tape diagrams. So we're going to use this one as well. But then we'll talk about how you can make it look like a tape diagram at the end. Okay, so we have a double number line here to talk about the different parts in the problem that they have given us. So Sally's math test had 30 questions on it altogether. So that's telling me that this is our total amount of questions. So let me go ahead and just label this one as number of questions. And the total here is 30. And then I guess on the other side would be 0, right? So from 0 to 30 questions on this number line. Then it's telling us that she received a score of 80%. Now, is 80% giving us is a whole number amount? No, it's not. It is a percentage or a part, which is telling us a fractional representation, or we could write it as a decimal representation of the amount of questions she got right. And so the second number line is going to be the percent. And so 80% is not the entire quiz, right? She only got about 80% of it correct, which would be, let's say about here. And this would still be 0%. So from 0 to 80% is what she got correct. So let me just add that to our portion right here, saying this is the number or the percentage that she got correct. And the question wants to know, how many questions did Sally answer incorrectly? So we know that a percentage is always out of this very special number, and that would be 100%, right? We always want to get a 100 on our tests, on our quizzes, which would tell us that we got 100% of the questions correct. And so we know then if this section on the left is how many she got correct, then this percentage is what she got incorrect. And so if we just very quickly look, going from 80 to 100%, what would be the percent that she got incorrect? Well, that represents a chunk of 20%, right? But does that answer the question? No, they don't want to know the percentage that she got incorrect. They want to know the specific number of questions that was incorrect. So we need to do a little more digging. Well, I know that we have our number line down here with percentages. And this part right here is already broken up into a 20% chunk. So we could actually do that along the entire number line going by 20%. So this would represent 20%, and then another 20% would be 40%, and then another 20% would be 60%, and then we would come to our 80% and then our 100%. So if we look at our number line, I broke it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So I want to go ahead and do that with our number line above. So if I broke up 30 into 5 pieces, that would be increments of 6 questions each, right? We would break it up into 5 chunks. So I'm going to make sure it matches the number line below it. Oops. And we are going by 6. So if we started counting, I see that this one would be 6 questions, 12, 18, 24, and then finally our 30 questions altogether. So let's look really carefully at our number lines, because typically I see that 80% hits right here. So that's telling us that she got 24 questions correct. Now, let's look back at our question. Does it want to know how many are correct? No, it wants to know how many were incorrect. So if 24 questions were answered correct out of 30, I want to know how many were incorrect. So if we look at our number line, this is the amount that was incorrect on the percentage number line. So this is the amount that was incorrect on our number of questions. And if I see going from 24 to 30, that is a difference of 6 questions. I can also show it over here when I take away the number I got correct from the total amount of questions. And I see sure enough that she got 6 questions incorrect, which actually isn't very bad. That's a pretty good score. So again, looking at our answer choices, we know it's not 20. 24 is the amount correct, and it's not 3. It's answer choice C. So here on our double number line, I find it very easy to break up our question into pieces, comparing both the number and the percentage. You may want to do this with a double number line, right? And you could label it from 0% to 100%, and then 0 to 30, right? So putting your double number line, almost making a rectangle out of it, and then breaking it up into chunks the way we did, so that we can then compare the number of questions. So that would be another way you could represent it. We have also been representing it with percentages, which we know, with proportions, another P word, using what, no, need. And so to quickly run through that, our proportion here is talking about the part over the total, right? The part that she got correct, which was 80%, over 100% of the entire quiz. And then again, they give us 30 questions, which is the total, meaning that the amount that we are finding is the amount of questions correct. Now, warning, if we set it up this way, we need to be sure that we know what the 80% represents. So 80% is what she got correct. So that's why I'm putting C for correct questions, because when we start solving using our cross multiply and divide, we will then find the amount of questions that was correct, not the amount of questions that is incorrect. And so this is a very common error if we forget what the variable represents. We might stop and be like, oh, great, we got 24. But again, this is 24 questions correct. So we would then have to one more time take away from the total amount of questions on this quiz to then determine, how much she got incorrect. So let's go ahead and review these strategies, writing them down in our notebook, and then we're going to try some more on our own.